We are so fortunate to have the final girls from Friday the 13th, parts 1 and 2 as guests. At Sinister Halloween Con, they portrayed the characters who guided the transition from Jason Voorhees, the myth, to Jason Voorhees, the hockey-masked, machete-wielding slasher that we all love. Today we're going to explore how those first two films set the stage for one of the most enduring franchises in the history of horror. Join me in welcoming Adrienne King from the original Friday the 13th and Amy Steele from Friday the 13th, Part 2. Well, first of all, before I begin our discussion of the Friday the 13th films, I want to compliment both of you because I came by your tables to talk to you about our panel, and I got a chance to watch the way you were interacting with everybody that came up to talk to you. And it was just amazing how special you made each one of those people feel and how you took the time to be personal and give them a personal moment, not a fake moment, but a personal moment of your time. So I just want to compliment you both. And let's give them a hand for that, because that doesn't always happen.
It's easy to do. Oh, is this on?
It should be on. Let's
Hello,
see.
hello. Yeah,
Hello,
it's
hello.
very easy.
Is this one? No, this one's
Especially when Jason is Santa Claus.
Ooh,
And
we're rumbling.
yeah, it's not hard.
And I always say, I give what I get. So it's everything you're giving to me, I'm giving right back to you, and it's so easy.
That's great. All right, let's start with the questions then. Adrienne, you started acting at a very early age. And Amy, you seemed to find success very early in your career. What were the influences that guided you into acting, both of you? You can,
A stage mother.
there you go.
I always said I had very little to say about it because my first commercial was when I was 6 months old. But by the time I knew what was going on around me, I really enjoyed the camaraderie on a set, and I was hooked, is really what happened. By the time I was 8 years old, I went back to school. I mean, I started school when children are supposed to start school, and immediately I said, I want to go back. You know? I'd already felt all that energy, and who wanted to be sitting in a classroom?
She's still trying to learn how to read and
I
write.
am, and that's why I paint so well. But no, I wanted to go back, and I took some acting lessons with some really good coaches when I was young. And my first real acting gig was for Melinda in Inherit the Wind, which was a Hallmark Hall of Fame NBC TV special with A-plus stars at the time, with a fabulous producer-director, and I was hooked. It was done. I knew my future, so that was it.
I had always been in like neighborhood theater groups. I won in 6th grade the acting award. And I think it's basically the ham bone award, honestly, when you're that age. I had 3 brothers, and just trying to kind of stay ahead of the chaos growing up. You better kind of stand up or get flattened. And so let's see. And then I ended up, dropping, not doing acting for a long time. And then a friend of mine was was a model, and she said, you should come for this audition. I was living in Florida, and so I did. And they said, come up to New York. So I went up to New York, and I did the modeling agency there was a commercial agent in there. So they introduced me to commercials, and then I ended up doing one film and then this film, and so it just kind of went off from there. I was 19, something like that, when I went up to New York. So I was really grateful, and yeah, for a good early start, because it's nice, when you go someplace you don't have any money, to all of a sudden make some money. Because I remember when I first went up to New York, and like an apple was, it's going to sound ridiculous now, but it was like $1.50 for an apple. And I thought, I'm gonna starve here. I'm never gonna make it. But anyway, so I was really grateful to have some success from the start.
How did you both get your roles in Friday the 13th, in the Friday the 13th movies?
It was 1979, the summer of 1979. Yes, there was an open call in backstage. I did not have a theatrical agent, I had a commercial agent. And so that meant everyone in the city between the ages of like probably 15 and 29 who wanted to be an actor or an actress showed up. And so what's the matter? What are we doing?
It's on. Test, test. I think it's working, right?
Is it working? Is that better? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
That's okay.
I'm new at this, forgive me. Yeah, so it was an open call which meant that everyone who could find their way to the Minskoff casting on 44th and Broadway were there. And I was number like 350 something or whatever. And I met Sean. He was there the first time around, and I got a call back. And then I met the casting people. I got another call back. Then I got a call back so that they brought in the guys that they had whittled down, and they paired us. So that was literally the summer of '79. It took that kind of time. They got us down to 5 girls to play Alice, and they screen tested us. And it was a very strange screen test because we really had very limited script at that time. It was a very thin script, so there was a lot of screaming a lot of jumping up and down on the floor and reacting, a lot of reacting, you know, and I do a good scream, as we all know, and it was just, I think we all had to do Marcy's dream monologue, because that's really the only piece of dialogue there was in that movie for a woman. And that afternoon I got a phone call from Sean, and he said, "You're our Alice." And I said, "Yay!" And he said, "Yeah, we're going to be filming starting the day after Labor Day." And it was already like close to the end of August. So it happened quickly after that.
Wow.
My story is really boring. I went to an audition, and I think I went back for I can't even remember if I was a callback. I don't know, but it was very simple. Showed up, did it, and got the role. Yeah, so it's funny when it's
That's because
easy.
you were perfect.
No, but when it's easier, you don't even remember. You only remember the hard ones, right? Yeah.
It's getting warm in here.
Both of the first 2 films in the series, do you like how
I'm
large
reading, I'm
that?
cheating.
Do you like how large that print is for an old man like me?
I
to read?
appreciate it.
Both of the first 2 films in the series involve an ensemble of young actors, and they center around the camp in Crystal Lake, of course. In some ways, you were in the same position as your characters because you're placed in this small group of young people. You're in a unique situation. What were each of your experiences in working with the other members of the cast? Was there that kind of camaraderie or joking that you would find maybe in a real campground situation?
Good first? Yeah, go ahead. So the Tuesday in September, right after Labor Day, the next day, we were told to meet at 5 a.m. at Columbus Circle. Okay, so we're standing in the dark, meeting each other for the first time, because, well, not the first time, but the first time that we all knew who had been hired. So it was so cool. There we are, just jumping, oh my God. And so it was Kevin and Harry, me, Laurie Bartram, Marcy's name, somebody tell me I know her name, Janine Taylor, and who am I forgetting? The fellow who played Nettie. You all know his name. The 6 of us, I believe. Annie was not in the car, Robbie was not in there. So the 6 of us traveled about an hour and a half to the camp and really got to know each other during that, and just we're trading stories and how lucky we were, and can you believe how long it took to get this movie? And so we bonded right away. And we started shooting that afternoon, and it was
Oh,
that
wow.
beach scene. And what you see is what we were. Everybody really enjoyed being there in the sunshine and having fun and just playing around, and then it turned ugly.
Yeah, we lived in cabins at a real camp in Connecticut. So the women, and we all had our own little room in a cabin. And for meals, the whole cast and crew, we all went to the dining hall. And it was really, really fun. It was like being at camp, senior camp,
That's cool.
for sure. And just the crew is so great. I just love crew members, and so there was a lot of laughs, a lot of fun. I'm sure there were some pranks that I don't remember.
Some shenanigans, maybe.
Yeah, some camp
Always.
shenanigans.
Always, right.
Adrienne, with Betsy Palmer, she was kind of like the old pro on the set of the first film. What was it like working with her?
When I first met Betsy, she was very intimidating. Method-trained actress who had been in films with James Dean, Henry Fonda, you name it, she was an A-plus movie star. So you have to understand that the only reason she did this movie was because she needed 10 grand to buy a new car because her car died on the Connecticut Turnpike. True story. They offered her 10 grand. She goes, ooh, for 10 grand, I can buy my Scirocco. And no one will ever see this piece of... And she really said it. She said it in an interview that you can all see on
I
one
was
of
going to
the
ask
extras.
you about that, because I read that, but I wasn't sure if that
It's
was
true.
true.
She said it in front of the writer.
Oh, wow.
And I went, Betsy, Victor's right there. She goes, he knows it's a piece of shit. But that's how she's so friggin' honest about everything. And when she would get me off in a corner, she would say, don't do anything that's not real. And she said, I don't want to see anything except you looking into my eyes. And when we had to do the fight scene on the beach, it was like, she said, the camera sees it all. We are not pulling punches.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And so when everybody says, oh my God, it looks so real when she's pushing your head into the sand. Well, yeah, she was slamming my head into the sand. And then she said, you got to fight back, because if you don't, you're going to get hurt. Well, I did. And what you see is what really happened. And it took a full night from sunset till the dawn rose the next day, and we limped off. We literally limped off that sand full of bruises. And it was choreographed. As a matter of fact, I took the final notes, a stenopad, 2 pages of stenopad of Sean's little notes that said Betsy this, Tom Savini this, Tasso this, Adrienne this. It was like a choreographed ballet. And after all of that, I really did fear we would never see this film, because we kept on running out of money. And every time we needed more money for an additional camera to get that final scene, and then a slow motion camera, more film, he had to stop and go beg his investors for more money. So, yeah, it really, with her, she just made it so easy for me as an actress, because I just looked in her eyes and the hairs on the back of my neck would just go, whoop. And when you hear me, my voice cracking, you can't fake it. I mean, that woman was scaring the living life out of me. And so it was, acting is essentially reacting. And if you have a player as good as Betsy Palmer, it's a gift from the gods, and she was my gift. She really brought my game up.
Wow. That's a great experience to have
I was
on,
blessed.
on that film.
I was totally blessed working with her.
Amy, Steve Dash was,
He was not Betsy Palmer.
he was not Betsy Palmer, but he was really the first slasher version of Jason. And sadly, he's passed away now, but he was the one actually who did most of the action scenes, I believe, although I don't think he's credited, is he, in 2? I think that was kind of a sore spot with him. He may have been credited afterwards in the later VHS versions and stuff like that, but not in the initial movie. What were your memories of working with him?
He was great. We didn't hang out or anything. You know,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
all my work with this guy with a bag on his head. So it's not like you go, hey, let's chat. You don't. He didn't never said, look me in my eye. But he was very, very patient. As a young actress, it's hard because my adrenaline is going so much trying to like act and be scared, and to have somebody chasing you, there's like there's moments where you're supposed to be very, like, let's say that machete thing in the lair. I'm supposed to, on the count of 3, bring down the machete just as he brings up the pickaxe to block my blow. Well, when they're, I'm like, ah. And so they go 1, 2, and I went 2, and I came down, and so I put the machete through his finger. I felt so terrible. We had to stop shooting. He had to go to the ER in Connecticut that night. Of course, he loved every minute of it. He went into the ER with that knife through his shoulder, so they thought, oh my God, what happened? He goes, no. Anyway. So he just comes back from the ER and I just felt horrible. And Steve Miner was saying, don't worry about it. They love it. This is what stunt people do. They love it. And so I was like, ugh. And then there were other times where he's running and I'm supposed to jump out and kick him. Well, of course, I kicked too early or too late, and I kicked him in the nuts. I kicked him in the ribs. I mean, that poor guy. I really beat him up for sure. So luckily you couldn't see him whining with that thing on his head.
What was the shooting schedule like for both films? I mean, in terms of time, how long did it take to shoot the film?
I think we were about 6 weeks, and about 4, or maybe it was 4 weeks. I'm not sure, but 80% of the film was at night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's that's when I decided a human being is not a nocturnal animal. At least
Yeah.
I wasn't, and it was hard to kind of you switch,
hard.
and in the morning when you wrap at daybreak, there's like booze out there next to eggs. So it's like we're just really backwards here.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Getting your body clock into it, but
How do you like this next question?
what were the challenges of nighttime filming?
How's that
That's
for
the
being
next
on the
one.
same
Yeah, very cool.
wavelength,
Yeah,
huh?
for sure, right?
What are the challenges? Because so much of the films are filmed at night.
Well, the challenges for the first one, as opposed to the second, they had a budget we didn't. We
had her budget. I mean, we took all your money.
You took all of, and we had zilch. Literally, they gave me a pair of boots that first morning when I got there that I wear an 8. They were 7.5, and the wardrobe lady said, "But I don't have any more money. Could you just put an extra pair of socks on maybe and stretch them out?" And I'm like, "This is the first day, and I'm going to be running around this camp for a long time." So as soon as I got a chance back in New York City, I went and bought my own boots, which is why I still have my own wardrobe, my own ring, you name it. Anything that I had was, I chose my own wardrobe. They said, go to, and I did. Only one change, though. I could have 2 blouses and 2 pair of jeans. That was it. So it made it kind of tough in that last scene when I fell out of frame the first time, and they had to blow me dry and get back into the whole outfit. But the challenges were tough on the first one, only because everything was, if you got it, you got it. You're not going to take a second take. Film was so expensive back it's still expensive, but back then everything was so much money, and then they had to do the dailies in New York City to see what we actually did. And then they wait the next day, and we'd see that before we went and shot what we were going to shoot that day. And the challenges were that by the time they figured out how to get that last shot, it was the last day of shooting. In the middle of October, no wetsuits, freezing water. We started out warm and sunny, but by the time then they saved money, and 2 weeks later they did it with 2 cameras. That didn't work. They had a vision. Him and Tom Savini was the one who came up with slow motion cameras. What we really need, the slow motion camera. Well, that was super duper expensive, so that took a little bit more time. And by that time it was really cold. But the bottom line is, we nailed it, but we didn't know until after everybody left the set.
Wow.
You know,
Wow,
until
yeah.
they saw it. So yeah, we were just hoping and praying, and we got it.
Amy, the nighttime shooting, like you said before, really affected you in terms of not wanting perhaps to come back for part 3. Is that true, or is that not?
You know what? I wish I had a better memory as to what exactly did happen. Maybe I should ask Steve Miner that someday about why I didn't do part 3. Because they gave me a great script, which I still have 50 pages of, and it was so good. And I'm like, why did I not do this? So I have a feeling that an agent just asked for probably a little bit more money, because they didn't pay much. It was scale
Right.
plus 10, which was, I think it was like
You
a
got
12
plus 10?
Yeah. Yeah. It was like $1,200 a week or something. Was that right?
I got 736.
Yeah. So the plus 10 was just to pay your agent. But so maybe they asked for more. I'm sure they didn't ask for like a gajillion. I'm sure they just, I don't know what happened.
Betsy asked for very little, and they wouldn't even give it to her.
Really?
They
Yeah.
replaced her. It's all
Right.
about the bottom line for the,
Yeah.
the studios.
I know. So, I mean, in hindsight, I would have done it, for scale plus 10. But who knows, and who knew that we'd be sitting here today talking about this.
Yeah, all these years later.
Right.
Yeah, it's amazing. Adrienne, were you disappointed that the character Alice Hardy, not Alex, was killed off so quickly in part 2 after surviving the first film?
You are very brave to ask her that question.
You don't really want to hear the answer to that.
Yeah, actually, I do.
You really do. I've told the story before. I had a stalker coming off of part
Oh.
1.
Oh. Well, if it's kind
No,
of a
it's
sensitive
fine.
story for you. Okay.
Many, many years of therapy. I have no problem sharing.
Okay.
No, I had a stalker, which made things tough because I never got to really enjoy the success of part 1. I went into hiding. You have to understand, no cell phones, no support networks. The police, even the FBI, said to me, "You do a film like that, what do you expect?" And that was the attitude.
Wow.
My parents said, go talk to a priest. You know what I mean? There was just no support. And it was a very bizarre stalking that went on and off and on and off. So it was really messing with my head. But beyond this, I did meet with Sean and Steve at different times, thinking that whatever they needed me to do, I would be happy to do for them, to get them to segue into part 2 the way they wanted to. Of course, for some reason, there was not I asked for a script. I never got a script. They sent a car. I figured the script would be in the car. No. I get there. I had no idea they'd already shot the movie. Yeah.
So yours is like the last scene of the.
So
that
I
they
was
filmed?
one night only.
Wow.
Skeleton crew. There was no Jason. People say, who did this? I say, it was probably the guy who was delivering coffee that night. I should have writer's credit because not having a script, Steve Miner says, sit there, you're talking to your mom, go. Total improv. I mean, you hungry? Cat? You know? I mean, it was a shock. I also felt like my stalker was following me up there, so I was beyond whacked out. So it was, I cried all the way home in the car, you know, it was very emotional for me because I just felt like I'd been kicked to the curb by people I trusted. And when was going back to my apartment with the doorman building, and where somehow I still got Polaroids under my door of what I had been doing the night before. Yeah. So it was a very tough time in my life, and I just decided enough was enough, and I just needed time to myself, and I took it.
Well, thank heavens that things have changed.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
You know, I have to say, I have no regrets. I really have no regrets. Everything I went through made me a stronger person. They say, you know, you don't get anything you can't get through, and it may take, I learned, because there were dark nights, very dark nights, but I did learn a lot of empathy and compassion, and I realized when I came back in '04, the first panel I did, I never understood why. I went into voiceover, so I was great. As long as I was not in front of the camera, I was fine. And I had a great career as a looper and a voiceover, and I didn't have a problem with that at all. But I realized the bigger picture was that when I can sit at my table and hold someone's hand and they can share something with me that they've been through, that for some reason my character gave them strength to get through it, and my ordeal gave them strength to get through it, I'm humbled. And I feel like the bigger picture was, you know what, I needed to go through this journey. I needed it, and I am at the best place in my life right now. So I always say to people, no matter how hard it is for you, I've been there. I know how bad it can get, and if I can make it, I hope that my story gives you the strength that maybe it gives you another day to think things through and be stronger, because you will find the light eventually.
That's a beautiful thing to say. Well, I'm happy to say that I saw that kind of empathy coming through when I went by your table.
Oh, thank you.
What were the scenes that were the most difficult for both of you to film during
Well, mine
your
was when he came
experience?
through the window. I think everybody knows that we had to shoot that 3 times. It was very complicated. The technology. We had to use the slow motion cameras, which sounds like this, and it's like, just act normal. With
Oh,
that
gosh.
that loud, all of a sudden it's okay, action, and then I'm like, muffin, and they go cue high speed camera, knowing that Warrington is gonna bust through the window. So it's like, oh, Muffin, I'm so happy. Cue high speed camera. Oh, Muffin. And then, poof, and then the glass and and him coming through. And also, it was very intricate because he was in a sling and he couldn't go too far, but he had to go far enough and it had to break. So we had to shoot that 3 different times, and each time was just absolutely awful. I hated it.
Yeah. What about you, Adrienne?
The fight scene on the beach was pretty intense, and so was the final canoe scene, because we only had 2 takes. And everything was riding on that second take. It was all, I already knew he was coming. Again, the slow-mo, the slow-mo camera was, and there's a photo of me like this in the canoe, because it's like I had to black everything out. I couldn't give away any kind of anticipation,
Yes.
So it was there, with all of this insanity around you, it was like every ounce of training or whatever I'd had through the years came down to that moment. And like I said, the first time I went out of camera frame, they had to blow me dry to get back in there and do it again. We didn't know if we had it. We hoped, we thought, we did.
And the pressure on you as a young actor at that point, it's if you can get the acting down, that would just be like cherry on the top. But you better get your positions right.
It's the timing,
That's
too.
yeah.
All the timing, and yes, not going out of camera range, which is, I mean, it can be as tight as a half an inch this way or that way.
And then everyone hates you 'cause you don't get it
They
right.
won't talk to you for the rest of the night. Yeah, it's evil.
I want to ask you both, what was it like working with Sean S. Cunningham on the first film, Adrienne, and then working with Steve Miner on part 2, Amy?
I think Sean was a fabulous director, and on the first one, he gave me a lot of. He was very kind in the fact that he would let me watch the dailies from which is unheard of. You know, an actor doesn't really get to watch their own dailies. He was very generous. He also took in. Like if he would ask me, "What do you think?" You know, he cared about my opinion. He actually said, "What would you do in this situation?" And so I felt like he was my big brother. He was kind of looking over, just keeping an eye, trying to make sure that I was comfortable. And yeah, he was a good director on the first one. And then I don't know what happened.
Well, Steve Miner was the producer of the first one.
Yes, he
correct? So he took over those directorial duties for
Yeah.
the second one. What was it like working
Yeah,
with
he
him?
was. I mean, he was fun. It was fine. I didn't have a whole lot to compare him to. You know, remember it was film, and there's not really a high budget, so when you get into it as an actor, you'd say, you know what, let me do one more. You go, no, we got it. You go, no, just one more. No, don't worry about it. Let's move on. So, or if, you know, I remember saying, okay, let me try one more. You go, well, what would you do? And I don't know if that's exactly him, but it's kind of like directors then. Well, what changes would you make? And by that time, the whole crew's already moved anyway, so they're just placating you. I'm not saying he was that mean, but it's like they just need to get certain shots. And as long as there's some competency with their actors, I guess they're good.
That's good enough.
I'm going to add to that something that you just reminded me of. Yeah, if you got it, we're moving on. So in the scene where Brenda flies through the window, it was Tom who flew through the window, and I'm reacting. Well, if you remember, I had the rain slicker on, the yellow rain slicker. And as I'm reacting, I'm so into the moment, I get caught up on, the slicker gets caught up on the oven door or whatever it was, and I lose it, and he goes, cut, and I went, oh my God, Sean, we got to do it over, I lost my slicker. He went, it was perfect, we are moving on. And I said, but I'm going to be without a slicker out there, and he goes, we're moving on. And I thought to myself, well, I really did myself in on that, but now that I look back at the movie, how much different would it look if Alice had had that raincoat on during the fight scene or even in the canoe? It wouldn't have worked. So it was a blessing, sort of, in disguise.
Well, I have to ask you, Adrienne, this question.
Uh-oh.
What's the story of the infamous snake scene? I think everybody knows what I'm talking about.
It's not a good story.
It's not.
It did not bode well for the snake. Yeah, we weren't happy about that. But just so you know, the snake owner came to us. Like they must have put a word out into Blairstown looking for a snake. And the guy came with his snake. And we honestly didn't think anyone was going to kill the snake until Sean gives the machete to Harry Crosby, and he goes, okay, do it. And Harry goes, no, I'm not killing a snake. You kill a snake, you know? And that's what happened. Sean killed the snake. And
Oh, wow.
and it was horrible. I mean, it was really horrible. So that's
Yeah.
the story.
And they
That's
had
the
to take
infamous
away
story.
no animals were injured in this movie.
No, there were animals injured. There were people injured.
Amy, your character Jenny was supposed to die in the original script, but
Say what?
that's what I read.
Oh,
It said,
They
well,
make stuff up.
you know, this is internet research, so I won't vouch for all of it. But I read that your character Jenny was supposed to die in the original script, but the producers were so impressed with your performance that they added that end scene that shows you surviving. But you don't. I can tell by the look on your face that I should have retracted that question.
Well, it kind of sounds like a, what is it, backhanded compliment, right?
Well,
They're gonna kill you, but
but you're doing so well that we're going to keep you around.
Because I have the script and I don't think I'm
Oh,
dead in
okay.
it.
Okay.
No, yeah,
All right.
that's
Well,
interesting though.
there were no rewrites.
You know what? Honestly, when you get a script, it's kind of hard in the script. Like, they can't all of a sudden go, oh, she's good, let's keep her in longer, or let's write her in a bigger part. It just doesn't happen. What they do is they'll lock the film, and then they'll go back a month later after they cut it and go, oh, she's pretty good, let's put more of her in, or let's reshoot something, or she's terrible, let's kill her, and at that last place, we'll just make it look like she died.
Yeah.
Like, everyone goes, what happened to Muffin? I go, they could have done the same thing with Ginny. Like, all of a sudden, what happened to Ginny?
And isn't that what happened with Paul, right? Everybody
Yeah, what
asked
happened
you.
to Paul?
Everybody asked her.
In the part 3 script that they gave me 50 pages of, I go downstairs, I'm at college, I go downstairs to do my laundry, open the dryer, and Paul's head's in there. The movie magic.
Whoa. Well, I think the time has come. We have a lot of Friday the 13th fans here, so I'm going to open it up for questions. If you have a question for one of our 2 final girls, please raise your hand and we'll get to you. Just ask. Okay, let's start with the first row, the gentleman with the beard and mustache.
First off, it's absolutely great to meet both of you guys. You're fantastic.
Thank you.
You guys both did so good in the Friday films, but if you could go back and be a part of any other horror series, like one of the installments, for both of you, what would it be?
You mean a Friday installments or a different, any? Oh,
How about Alien?
Ooh,
yeah.
that's a good one.
I wouldn't mind Terminator
Oh, I love
Ooh, that's a good one too.
or Alien. I'm with
One of
Adrienne.
those two. We're good with that.
Yeah.
Okay, any other
Why
questions?
didn't they come knocking, Amy?
Okay, the gentleman in the back in the black shirt with the shining twins.
Love both of you. The original one, still my favorite film. Brother took me to see it opening weekend. But this question is for both of you. Other than the film, Amy, other than the one you were in and the 2 you were in, do you have any other favorites out of the rest of the series?
Good question.
Did you see any of the other ones?
Better question.
I've seen.
Well, time's up, everybody.
Well, how'd you like 3 and 4, Amy?
I saw 3.
I saw 4.
You know what? When I think I saw part 5 in a drive-in or something.
Oh, we did last year in Mahoney.
Yeah, and you know what? I was shocked. Like there is such a formula. Like they're the exact same. They just stuck with that, didn't they?
Yeah. Something works, right?
Yeah.
Except for Jason X. Just interjecting.
Yeah.
I didn't get that far.
Sorry for the good question and the terrible answers.
Do we have any other questions? Yes.
This is for Amy.
Adrienne.
Adrienne, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
When they had Mrs. Voorhees' head, did they tell you that it was going to be in this?
I got to see Tom Savini make Mrs. Voorhees' head. Yeah, I saw it, the oven it was baked in. I have a picture, actually, a photo. I don't know if it's on my table. It was a Polaroid. I collected all the Polaroids thinking that the movie was never going to come out, you know, that we were going to run out of money. So I got all the stuff the continuity photos that they were throwing away. And like I said, I have the notes from that night when we shot the fight on the beach, and I was going to make a collage being an artist. I figured I'll make a fabulous collage. Well, needless to say, I didn't need to do that, so everything went back into a box labeled Friday the 13th, which I opened 24 years later, found my grandmother's ring she gave me for good lucks. And I say, thank you, Nana, it's still working. Yeah, that's when I saw it. And it was so cool to see him baking ahead. You know, it was very bizarre.
Why? Let's take one more. This will be our last one.
So, Halloween and Friday the 13th were obviously some of the genre's first roles for women and the final girls, quote unquote. How does it feel now, looking back, to be some of the heads of that entire generation after generation of final girls and just looking up to those roles in Hollywood?
I mean, what an honor, seriously. To be one of the strong women that survive and that to try and kind of analyze this whole situation and to fight back and to stand up and to walk and talk. I mean, how great. So I just feel really, really, really honored. Plus, I got this really cool shirt. But yeah, I mean, to have just the name Final Girl, I mean.
And ditto here. I've actually done some college class interviews on Zoom where they teach about final girls in film. In Manchester, England, I was invited into a classroom, and it's just the most humbling and incredible feeling in the world to realize what we went through was for something really valuable, especially now where they're trying to take our rights away. You know, it's like, hello, we've been through this. We don't want to go down that road again because we have machetes. So yes, honored.
And honestly, it's just a reflection of society as a whole. I mean,
Right.
women are strong. Men are strong. People are strong. It's not out of the ordinary. It's just all of a sudden it was reflected.
Right.
So.
I
Well,
mean,
that-
the fact that Mrs. Voorhees was a killer. You never had a female killer, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's show our appreciation and love for two of the most wonderful final girls in the history of horror.
Yeah.
You guys want to come in front of the table behind whatever?
You tell us.
Let's just go right here.
How's this?